Hello and welcome back to the channel, folks. It is time for a good old blood match. We just had one not long ago in the sub-commander genre. This is just going to be a standard 1v1 Carthage versus Rome to see who is the real king of the Western Mediterranean. Now, I'm not biased or anything, just because my channel name is HeirofCarthage, and yeah, I might be pulling for Carthage. Alright, let's take a look at the builds. There's a couple of Sacred Band up front. We've got some Mercenary Noble. Holy cow! And Carthage came absolutely stacked in the infantry department. 2 Sacred Band and 2 Noble Fighters. They're backed up by a couple of Iberian swords, and it looks like some Mercenary Gallic warriors on either flank. And then the cavalry is 2 Carthaginian Cav, Bodyguard. Can't be a whole lot of money left for skirmishers, are there? Yeah, there is. 3 Balearic Slingers and then 2 Libyan Hoplites. Carthage is going to have to pay the piper somewhere for all that expensive infantry, and it's probably in numbers. So they're going to have to do a lot of work with numbers. They've got a mercenary Numidian cavalry here that's doing a bit of skirmishing on the Equites. Let's take a look at the Roman army. Vigiles up front, veteran legionaries in a second line that is all veteran legionaries, and then Evocati cohort in the back line. So Rome is bringing the heat too with the Evocati cohort, rocking in at 61 attack. So Evocati cohort definitely love to slap people with some swords. So yeah, quite a few Equites for Rome. They just went on the cheap numbers route, and that honestly is fine for Rome as far as an option goes. And they just have a couple of levies, probably meant to ward off elephants. Otherwise, it looks like Rome is hoping to bury Carthage in a line of 8 rather elite legionaries here. So that is going to be their heavy hitting power. So we'll see how this one stacks up. I mean, Carthage definitely has some good units, but I don't know about, you know, each one of these 4 elite units taking on 2, like, you know, a veteran legionary and an Evocati. That is not going to happen. The noble fighters could put a pretty serious hurt on some of those units, but I mean, the Evocati cohort has higher attack. It doesn't have near as much charge, but it certainly has higher attack. If we take a look at the melee defenses at 62, Evocati are only 48, so they have less defense. But I mean, so it's an interesting matchup. We'll see how that goes. The Sacred Band also have really quite good attack. Their damage is a little bit lackluster because they didn't get the elite Hoplite Spear, but they do have solid defense and a decent charge bonus. It's not amazing, but it's nothing completely insignificant. Libyan Hoplites should make short work of Vigiles. Square or not, but the Vigiles are clearly meant to kind of hold a unit up, and this is going to be a bit dangerous for the Sacred Band. If they overlap this and get peppered with javelins, that would not be great. Would have been best to see the Sacred Band come in last, but the Romans don't really have much of a charge, to be honest. But if they sit still right here and discharge all those javelins, this is going to be very bad for Carthage and the Sacred Band. And this is exactly what I thought Rome would do, and that's what they are doing. The square formation on these Vigiles is handy for this very thing, because it allows the legionaries to use up their javelins, and the second line is doing the same thing. The mercenary noble fighters look like they are awaiting a bit of a later role here, letting the Hoplites lead the way, and here comes the Equites screaming through the gaps in the line and hitting the Balearic Slingers here in a pretty nicely maneuvered bit of cavalry work there for Rome. The Sacred Band are still in a hoplite wall, and they're still eating javelins point blank, so they are going to be very ineffective against the veteran legionaries in this particular shape, because they're just sitting there taking it on the chin with the javelins. So not a great situation for them. The mercenary noble fighters now are going to come forward. I'm a little bit concerned, though, because these Equites can disrupt them and then easily allow these legionaries to get a good engagement. However, the Roman pulls back here, oddly enough. But there are cavalry swinging that way. Carthage does have some support here with the Gallic warriors, which they'll need. And these hoplites need to get better engaged with those Roman troops. They are still taking javelins aplenty. Now, Carthage is kind of doing the same thing. They're chucking all the javelins on the Iberian swords, who can support in that fight too. They're going to be very lightweight in a melee, but pretty good at, you know, peppering the area with javelins, which is also helpful against the Roman cavalry. There, that Sacred Band came loose out of formation, and they're going to re-enter a hoplite wall now that they've engaged better against the Avocati cohort. They'll lose that fight, but if they get some support, they can maybe last a while there. We'll see what happens. The Noble Fighter did get a pretty solid charge over here. It's racked up 40 kills against the Veteran Legionaries. The Gallic Warriors are giving the Avocati cohort some arm warm-ups here, as their swords will no doubt be slicing through the Gallic Warriors rather handily. That Noble Fighter, I don't believe, has used its special ability, the Headhunt, yet. That would exhaust them, but it will also give them tremendous damage. They're going to get a clean charge here towards the Veteran Legionaries. Ooh, that Javelin in the back. That did some hit point damage right there. Oh, the Romans got another Javelin volley off right there at the last second, too. That was definitely valuable. Let's go see what's going on with the Sacred Band. They are falling apart. But the Iberian swords did come in, at least in one spot, to assist them. In another spot, the Iberian swords got tied up with an Avocati. That Avocati will probably still kill them, despite the numbers thing. It depends on what the Balearic Slingers are up to. This Noble Fighter chopped through its Veteran Legionary counterpart, but it took a lot of damage in doing so, and I don't know if that was from the Javelins or if it was from its own Slingers. The Balearic Slingers are targeting Roman infantry. Yeah, this unit I would have expected to see targeted a little bit sooner, but yeah, the Balearic Slingers are definitely chewing up some Roman infantry, and they need to, because that Roman infantry is doing what it does well, and it's getting into these long grind-out fights, and they're hacking Carthage to bits where that is the case. Now, where those Slingers are getting some shots in, the Roman infantry is paying a dear price. I mention it in most every battle, but I'll mention it again. The Slingers are going to be extraordinarily deadly late in a game because they have extra armor-piercing damage, and most units have taken a lot of hit point damage already. And so they're going to start to drop models quickly to Slinger fire because it's going to pierce the armor, and a lot of the entities within that unit are nearing their hit point limit and will start to drop dead. Carthage does still have some cavalry on the field. They got a bodyguard and some Carthaginian cav over here supporting those Gallic warriors, and Carthage is doing really well on that other flank. There's a lot of Roman troops left over here. I don't know how Rome's going to deal with those Balearic Slingers. They do have Legatus, and looks like there was a few cavalrymen out there on the flank. They do have cohorts now punching through the middle, but if they end up on a goose chase after Slingers, that would leave other units unsupported in an infantry fight, but if they turn around to support the infantry fight, the Slingers are going to absolutely put them in the dirt. You can see that here. You hear the rocks bouncing off of the shields and no doubt skulls and other places. Those hits below the belt being especially uncomfortable, in case anybody was wondering. Not that I know that from experience, fortunately, but one can imagine. Alright, so it looks like the Veteran Legionaries are getting wrapped up there, so Rome is starting to run out of infantry here in the meat grinder, and the Slingers staying alive is going to be, I believe, the decisive factor here, in my opinion. Now, the Noble Fighters definitely put up a solid fight there, but those Slingers are going to have gotten some excellent value here. All of them picked up a chevron. They're averaging well over 100 kills between the three of them. And that's not just any kills. It was against Veteran Legionaries and Avocati, which is definitely going to be some solid stuff there. So Rome absolutely had the superior infantry meat grinder there, and you saw it kind of coming out on top there early. The Slingers definitely turned the tide later in that fight because Rome was absolutely hacking Carthage to bits. But yeah, I think that the Slingers, they were absolutely clutch in bringing that one back. Now, a couple of interesting things we saw from both players here. It was good play by both players, in my opinion. It just gets tough when you run out of options to go after the Slingers. We saw the Roman really nicely thread between those square formations and through the line to get to the Balearic Slingers initially. It wasn't enough to finish them. Those Iberian swords were good support there with the extra javelins. Then you had the cavalry back there to help as well. But again, that was a good effort. So the Roman definitely made an effort to get rid of the Carthaginian Slingers, and rightfully so, because they ended up slaughtering them in the end. But I mean, Rome kind of went with this strategy here of spending the extra money on infantry and not having skirmishers in the fight. And so it was their prerogative to go and get rid of those skirmishers, and they certainly had the cavalry numbers advantage potentially to do it. But obviously just rushing in can be quite suicidal as you might find yourself with a face full of javelins or in a bad position. So it's always easier said than done, right? Even though the numbers were there. But in any case, GG to both players. Appreciate Hotel Soap and Riviette here with a fun game, and I will see you all soon with some more action in Total War Rome 2.